BABAYEGA. Well, John isn't really the boogeyman. He's the one you send to kill the fucking boogeyman. John Wick. It's about damn time I talked about this movie. Because I know I haven't talked to you guys in a while. I've been busy, and as you can tell by the hat, I've been celebrating. But I'm seeing John Wick Chapter 2 tonight, and it's time to get back into the swing of things, and I figured why not add an older review to my collection by talking about the original John Wick back in 2014. I'm just gonna get one of my superlative statements out of the way right away. John Wick is one of the best action movies of the last decade plus. I don't think that's an exaggeration. I don't think I'm overstating things. I think this is one of the best action films that me personally, I have ever laid eyes on. Keanu Reeves, I mean, the dude knows how to sell great action. One of the things I love about Keanu Reeves is that he's one of those actors that does a majority of his own stunts. When John Wick in this movie is flipping around and doing his gun fu stuff, which is a really cool concept, by the way, pretty much jujitsu and mixed martial arts stuff mixed with gunplay, and it's really awesome. The writers and producers said they just kind of mixed kung fu and jujitsu with gunplay, and they just called it gun fu. Whoever came up with that shit, they probably deserve a raise, and they probably got one after this movie came out. But when Keanu Reeves is doing all of that gun fu stuff and he's jumping and he's running around, I mean, you can actually see it's Keanu Reeves. It's not just an obvious stuntman. In that sense, I love the respect and the care that Keanu Reeves does give to the action scenes in the movies that he's in, and it's no different in this movie. If you haven't seen John Wick, the basic story of John Wick is there's a guy, he's a former assassin, a former hitman for the mob or some shit, but one day his lovely wife, played by Bridget Monahan, I think is her name, she dies, and in her death, she leaves him a really cute ass dog. You know, the dog is there to help him grieve, it's to give him something else to look forward to. Personally, if my wife were dying, I'd want her to set me up with a hot chick, not a dog, but that's just me. And so he does, until he says the wrong thing to a guy at a gas station, and then the Russian punks follow him to his house, and they steal his car and they kill the dog. Now, I know a lot of dog lovers out there who personally would do exactly what John Wick did in this movie. Hunt them down and kill them all one by one, obviously. I'll be honest, when I saw the trailer for this movie, I saw that concept in the trailer, and I was just kind of like, okay, is this gonna be really stupid? Is this gonna be like, oh, well, the dog, and just everything that happens in the movie is because of the dog? It works in this movie, it really does. They do a great job of explaining it, and it never feels overly sappy or dramatic. It's just, it fits. It works for this movie. Now, if they try to do that shit in John Wick Chapter 2, yeah, it's gonna feel really forced. But otherwise, I think it works really well for this movie. Again, I can't stress enough how awesome the action scenes are in this thing. So many standout sequences, like the very first time John Wick is in action, there's a whole bunch of guys that break into his house, and he's just systematically annihilating them one by one using a mixture of that gun fu shit I was talking about, the spin move with the shot, and then the way he just break the guy's neck on the counter. I mean, this dude is jumping over people and he's flipping them around, he's headshotting everybody. I recently rewatched this movie last night, and I'm pretty sure John Wick had like, I don't know, 40 to 50 headshots in the movie, and those are just the ones that I counted. Yeah, this dude doesn't like shooting people. He does that thing where he shoots somebody and he might get them on the ground, but then to make sure they're dead, he'll just finish it off with a headshot. Which really sucks, because if I piss John Wick off, there's no way that I could play dead. I mean, if I could try to play dead, but he's gonna shoot me in the head anyway, so moral to that story is don't piss John Wick off. There's a great club scene later on in the movie where John Wick goes into a club. It's called the Red Circle. This is actually one of the best nightclub scenes I've seen probably since Collateral. I mean, Collateral has one of probably my favorite nightclub scene ever. Oh my god, so much badassery, and that's another thing I really love about this movie is how badass it is without even trying. I mean, this movie has so many badass moments and badass lines, half of which aren't even spoken by John Wick. From the moment we meet John and from the moment they get into this story with his dog and then the car and everything, you get the sense that John Wick has a hell of a reputation. That scene I mentioned earlier where he's taking down all these dudes in his house, I love the part where the cop comes up to the house afterward. And the cop is just kind of like, hey John, you working again? And he's like, I'm just working some things out, not really working. And the cop can see in the house, and he sees that John Wick, there's a dead man laying on John's hallway, and then he sees John Wick has, like blood and stuff on his face, and then he's kind of like, okay, well, I'll leave you to it then. You can just tell everybody has a really healthy fear and respect for him. The part where John Leguizamo is talking to the mob boss, the mob boss has a son, and the son is the one who stole his car and killed John Wick's dog or whatever. Well, he's like, why'd you hit my son in the face, dude? What the hell? And then the dude was like, well, he stole John Wick's car, sir, and he killed his dog. Instead of being a rational parent who goes, no, hey, come on, man, I don't care what he did. That gives you no right to put your hands on my son. Instead, he's just kind of like, oh, yeah, that's, oh, right. The dude beats up his own son for fucking with John Wick. That should let you know right there how badass John Wick is. I love the fact that John Wick in this movie is a complete badass, but he's also not invincible. He's not like Jason Statham where like he fights 25 guys and never gets touched. He gets shot in this movie, he gets stabbed, he gets his ass kicked on one part. Give you a sense in this movie that even though he's like the ultimate badass and he's just surgical with this shit, a la Alonzo from Training Day, it just lets you know that he's a little bit rusty. He did back out of the assassin thing, he did quit. It just makes you care more about him because you actually do feel like he could get hurt during these scenes. But don't be fooled, most of the time he's hurting other people. This movie does a great job of building this fascinating underground world of assassins. There's this hotel where assassins can come from all around the world and they're on different jobs and stuff, but the hotel has rules, there's currency involved, I mean there's different contexts and different ways of doing things. These assassins at this hotel have a code. It just made me really fascinated to see the rest of the world. The world building in this movie is what elevated it above a typical action thriller type of movie, because it's pretty much John Wick, you mess with the wrong guy and I have to go get you because you killed my dog. I have two nitpicks in this movie. One is that I think the movie could have been a little bit shorter. And two, there's a final fight that's just a little bit hard to believe, but outside of that, nitpicks. John Wick has a great villain. It has terrific action sequences, some of the best action sequences and stunt work that these eyes have seen. It takes a simple premise and it executes it to perfection with some really interesting world building, and honestly, John Wick is one of those action movies that I could watch for the rest of my life and never get bored of. So in the end, John Wick was awesome. John Wick Chapter 2 I hope is awesome as well, and I'm going to give John Wick Superman Prime. Alright guys, that is my review of John Wick. I hope you guys check that out, and I hope you guys stay tuned for my review of John Wick Chapter 2, which will be coming out tomorrow. Oh yeah, and sorry about the hat, but no, the hat's staying on all week. Get used to seeing this. If you don't like it, it's tough beans, okay? We're gonna be seeing this hat all week. Like and subscribe, and if you like what you see, tell me how you feel, and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace!